today in preparation of her May 14th international speech final in District 70 called A Cup of Tea. It's 5 to 7 minutes long. She's looking for us to watch her vocal variety, her emotions, her humor, and she's up at 2 o'clock in the morning to practice this. So she's really trying to elevate her speech. So let's all give her some great feedback, fellow Toastmasters.
Wonderful, Scott. Thanks again for your patience with me stumbling through this. And now, to repeat myself again, Louise Beaton, A Cup of Tea, Louise Beaton.
I was in my garden the other day, underneath my favorite pink flowering tree, having a cup of tea and thinking about life. Do you sometimes stop and think about life? An Ashley Brilliant quote came to me. Strangely enough, he said, this is the past that someone in the future is longing to return to. Really, Ashley Brilliant? Don't you have a time you'd never long for again? I remember this one time I was sure I could never, ever long for again. Madam Toastmaster and online friends. June 2010. After stomach surgery, I need home help. And 2 people are very eager to volunteer. Mum and Dad, aged 87. Monday, they bring 1 billion bags. My lounge room looks like an airport arrivals terminal. I now need a baggage carousel. Mum says, you into bed and no internet. Oh. 1 hour later, I wake to Dad moaning, help me. Mum is still in my arrivals terminal and can't hear Dad because she won't wear hearing aids. I find Dad dangling upside down from his bed, one arm trapped behind the bed head. I've had surgery. I can't lift. Mum, come. My words fall on deaf ears. Literally. I pick up Dad just as Mum enters. Why are you out of bed? Tuesday. I wake to Mum screaming, Lou, quick, it's Dad in the garden. Dad's decided to clean up my garden shed, the one I cleaned up last week. On the high side of the lawn, he's placed my heavy tools into a wonky, wobbly wheelbarrow that has crashed onto Dad. I pick him up and patch him up. I go back to bed, and just 1 hour later, I wake to Mum screaming, Lou, quick, to Dad screaming, Lou, quick, it's Mum in the garden. Way down the back, I see 2 geriatric legs in orthopedic sneakers sticking up. Mum? Oh, I picture yellow daisies, but I overbalanced and rolled down the hill. I pick her up and patch her up. Really, Ashley Brilliant? You think I'm longing to return to this? Would you? Day after day, they care for me. Day after day, I pick them up and patch them up. At home, relationships and tea now have one thing in common. Both are strained. Finally, it's leaving day, and I wake to Mum shouting, Lou, Quick, it's Greg from next door in the garden. What, has Greg fallen over as well? He's here for a cup of tea before we go. Oh, that's nice. Mum delivers Greg a strong cup of tea and Dad delivers Greg a strong speech. Oh, Greg, mate, my neighbours at home have done major home renovations. Oh, we've had dirt, dust, demolition. Disgusting. Greg, mate, if any neighbour of yours tries to do major renovations, call the police, call the authorities, complain any chance you get about the dust and the dirt. Dad, shh. Well, clearly renovating neighbours aren't Dad's cup of tea. But my dad is now like a tea bag. He's in hot water. He's forgotten that tomorrow I'm telling Greg that we're doing major home renovations. At last, the billion bags are packed. Mum says, Dad and I feel we should stay 2 more weeks. No, I mean, no, you've done so much, but please, time to go home now. Please. At last, Mum and Dad are gone. Years later, there I am under that tree in my garden. So much has changed. The shed Dad cleaned up, gone. Those yellow daisies Mum picked me, gone. Mum and Dad, gone. In that moment, I suddenly understand Ashley Brion's quote. I'm longing for the past. I'm longing for parents who love me so much. They'd bring a billion bags, they'd clean up my shed and pick yellow daisies for me. How easy is it to take the people who love you for granted? Is there a relationship that you could pick up and patch up? Will you treasure every single moment with the people who love you? I hope you will, because strangely enough, one day in the future, they'll be the past that you long for. How can I be so sure? Every time I'm under that tree in my backyard, I'd give anything to share a cup of tea again with Mum and Dad. Toastmaster.
On our second evaluator, Scott Oliver, who will evaluate Lou's speech. Scott, you're up.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and especially Lou. If you were going to measure vocal variety, emotional connection, laced with a little humor, and see if it really worked, you'd look at the audience. And so I focused today at looking at the audience while you were speaking, and you had our rapt attention. You had us by the heart early on, just by simple, soft gestures that matched a soft cup of tea under a tree. You had us emotionally, you had us exasperated, you rode up and down. And I want to talk about the specifics about that, but I hope you won't mind. I'm going to indulge in my 2 complaints about your speech up front because they just need to get done and get out of the way because the speech was fabulous. The first thing I would point out is you put on a robe. And at first, I was distracted by it. I didn't know where we were going. Were we going to the shower together? I didn't get it. Perhaps, I wasn't sure, but perhaps you could replace it with a shawl because you could use that as a blanket and warmth and the same effect. I was still a bit distracted with it at first. You may want to introduce it too. The second thing is, and this is me being petty, send me your stuff you're working on in your speech less than 6 hours before the speech. It would help me a lot just being ready as your evaluator. Just get all that off the table because I want to talk about all the good stuff. Let's talk about vocal variety first. You rose and fell, you started soft, almost Zen-like, and your hand gestures matched your vocal variety. You gently put your hand up and pointed to the tree. I was like, wow, there's somebody that's got it tied together, but it continued throughout the speech. I could sense your exasperation when your dad was doing stuff he shouldn't do, or when your mom was doing stuff she shouldn't do. Your voice went up and down with frustration and anger and almost a snide tone to it. It was wonderful. But at the same time, you were able to wrap humor in throughout. And you did it with great phrasing. You said things like dirt, dust, and demolition. You said, my dad was like a tea bag in hot water. What a great phrase. You said, at home, our relationships and tea both had something in common. They were strained. I had to stop and think when you said it. I thought, yeah, wow. I wasn't thinking. That was like crossword time. That was good stuff. Best one of all, though, is when you saw two geriatric sneakers and you did the whole sticking up in the air. The word pictures you painted were fabulous today. This was an emotional roller coaster. And just like a ride at Disneyland, you brought us right into a real soft landing. And I got to tell you, I looked again at the audience and a couple of the pictures went blank. People were grabbing their tissues because they wanted to hide it. You know, it's like I was like, geez, I got to get through this without going into tears. You had me at the beginning. You took me on a ride and you finished it strong. I loved your speech. Thank you for coming and sharing it with us. Good luck on the 14th.